Am I the a-hole for refusing to offer any help to my uncles and cousins with the family business? My grandfather passed away a few months ago. He had his own business that was quite successful. I, 28 female, was raised by my grandparents after my dad, their youngest son, died young. When I turned 16, my grandfather brought me to work with him and he integrated me into the business. I adored that man. He trained me in all aspects of his business, and once I turned 18, he hired me on full time and I became his shadow. My uncles and some of my cousins worked for the business also, but none of them took it very seriously. They treated it very much like the spoiled owner's son's grandsons. They were never well known or well liked in the company. I was known. I had a great relationship with the people who worked for my grandfather. I had also done every job there at some point. I cleaned, I ran errands for others, I managed, I hired people. I was the person he asked to step up during his illness. I basically ran the business for almost 2 years. Then his will showed another side of my grandfather. One that left me very hurt. My uncles and all of my male cousins, even the ones who have nothing to do with the business and would likely never work there, were all given 8% of the business. I was given nothing related to the business. All because I was a granddaughter, which was even stated in the will. I broke down when we were told the contents of the will. My uncles and cousins were very dismissive and told me I shouldn't be so upset because I was just a girl after all, and with me getting married soon I'd clearly focus on having my own family. They said owning any percent of a business is for men. I should have known how my grandfather felt. I made the decision to resign from the company following this. At first they didn't care. Some of my uncles even looked relieved to be getting rid of me. But now that all the men are trying to run it, they realize they know nothing and nobody who works for them likes them. Apparently, the employees ask them about me. I actually had some of the people I worked closely with reach out to me and say they missed me, wanted to keep in touch. The business is suffering because my uncles and cousins are clueless. They have asked me to come back to help them. I'm working retail right now while I figure out what I want to do with my life. I always thought I'd work for my grandfather's company until I retire, but that's not going to happen. I told my uncles and cousins no, and they asked me to at least consult with them so they can get some help during this rocky period of business, and again I said no. They told me they need my help and I should want to help keep the family business running. I told them I had given so much to it already, but they, along with grandfather in his death, made it so very clear I am not valuable to the company because I'm a woman and I won't save their asses just because they ask me to after showing how little they appreciated me. They accused me of being foolish and childish. Am I the a-hole?
Not the a-hole at all. The men in the family have made their bed. Now they can lie in it. If they want your expertise, they can come up with a compensation package that you would be amenable to and is in keeping with your skills and the contributions you bring to the table. They can't rely on family loyalty now when they weren't willing to extend that to you before.
Yep. All that family loyalty has gone. I was very loyal, and this is what it got me.
Want to screw them over? Go to your competitor and introduce yourself. Get hired and make sure you have an ironclad contract. Start hiring away workers and taking business from the old firm.
That, or I'd ask them for 51% of ownership of the business. You run it and make the decisions, and they have to defer to you on everything. Best and final offer.
Not the a-hole. Tell them you'd be happy to come back and run the business if they are willing to collectively gift you 51% ownership of the business and full control, and make that completely legal, lawyers, paperwork, fully signed, before you set foot back on the property to run things, and they can all go back to not taking it very seriously and collecting a paycheck. They're going to be absolutely outraged, and then you can point out that they are free to continue running the business into the ground, after which they'll have to get real jobs. And then ignore everything that is not a full legal offer as explained above. Because without you, there is no business, and they are becoming rapidly aware of this, and you are not responsible for propping up their poor choices. You are incredibly valuable to the business, and if they don't want to acknowledge that legally, move on and enjoy your life and let them fail. They are grown adults.
OP can open a competing business and run them into the ground after hiring all the good talent away.
All of this thread, open. Not the a-hole. All of this. Either open a competing business and take their employees or tell them you want control to come back.
Am I the a-hole for not donating old toys to my ex's children? I, 34 female, have 2 kids with my ex, 13 and 12. Our divorce happened 6 years ago. He's married again and has additional children. We are not on good terms. We communicate via app about our kids, and that's the only contact we should have and that I respond to. Unless it's an emergency, and then we can text call if needed. The reason for the bad blood is he cheated on me with the woman he's now married to. And then, during our divorce, she accused me of breaking into their house and stealing from them. Their house was broken into. But his wife said it had to be me. She even started hinting about it online and telling other people. I didn't do it, and it was proven. Police even caught the person who did it. But my ex and her still tried to use that as a reason for him to get full custody of our kids. It didn't work, but they still tried. So we're not on good terms, and that's not something I feel will ever change. It's a struggle to be civil, but I do it for the kids' sake. I hate the 2 of them though, and think they're both shitty people. Last year they had a micro-preemie, which is their 3rd child together. She also has a child with someone else. After the birth of their micro-preemie, they started struggling with money and felt bad for their other children who live with them full-time because they had to make a lot of changes. My kids had a little, but not really because they still had me. Recently the kids and I did a clear out, and I donated a bunch of their old toys to a Goodwill nearby. My ex saw me with the donation and he was pissed that I donated them to a store versus giving them to his family. He confronted me in person about this. He told me I have to know they were looking for help with toys and stuff, and I know what they've been through. He asked how I could spite his children like that. He told me they'd love to get their older siblings' old toys. He confronted me a second time because he found out our eldest gave a couple of toys to a friend's younger sibling. I knew about it but didn't confirm that to him. He still guessed, and again in a face-to-face confrontation he called me out for not donating them to him and letting them be donated elsewhere. Am I the a-hole?
Definitely not the a-hole. You don't owe the guy anything, and him thinking otherwise is just entitlement. Honesty, you've done nothing wrong, and I think he maybe just wants an excuse to argue with you or make you look bad.
Definitely not the a-hole. I can understand how you feel, and you have every right to donate your items where you want. That said, I feel for the other kids, and maybe, but this is just me, not judging for what happened, I might have given them some toys or clothes. Honestly, it would probably infuriate the new wife because she would know where they came from, a small payback. But I just hate to see kids suffer. Still, you are not the a-hole.
I think no matter what she does, he would argue. If she gave to him, he would probably say he doesn't need her charity and her looking down on him.
Not the a-hole. Remind your ex to only communicate through the app, and only about matters that concern your shared children.
I agree. I would also document that conversation in the app every time it happens. I do not feel comfortable speaking with you outside of this app. If you see me again in public, please do not contact me outside of this app except in an immediate emergency involving our children together. This is especially true if the conversation is unrelated to the care of our children together.
Make sure to note that he confronted you twice in public, angrily demanding things he was not entitled to.
Your ex and his wife seem to struggle to understand that when you cheat on and betray, as well as conspire to get full custody of your children, and attempt to slander your reputation, you should actually help them out by donating to their household. That's some mighty expectations they've got. Not to mention they've got to be incredibly dumb to assume you're going to be that generous to the 2 a-holes who caused so much heartbreak and stress in your life.
Her ex is someone that takes advantage of others and is incapable of having any relationship with anyone unless they get something out of it. Cluster B personalities struggle forming true bonds with people and will judge people based on what that person can provide for or do for them. 'Cause it's all about them 24/7. No empathy. Hence why he implied she is a bad person for not giving him the toys, making the comment, "You know what I'm going through." It is a passive-aggressive insult to her that implies she doesn't care about him and is a bad person to him. He probably went home to his current wife, the next psychopath he will trash talk when she eventually leaves him, to trash talk his ex too some more. 'Cause he's always the victim. It has a narcissistic component in the sense that anyone who doesn't want to be with him must be bad and has no value in this world, 'cause he refuses to see anything wrong with himself.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos.